This is Jane Low, and I'm here in Singapore Marina Bay Sands. And with me today, I'm very pleased and very privileged to have Mac Munsayac, who is with the Philippine Airlines. You are the head of customer experience.
That's correct, Jane.
Yes, very privileged and very appreciative of your time today to share with us the highlights of AI and trust and what it means to Philippine Airlines. So thank you again.
It's a pleasure to be here, and thanks for inviting the Philippine Airlines team to be part of this great event.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, so I think most of our audience, when it comes to aviation and, not just Philippine Airlines, but airlines in general, right? We have experience with booking air flights, rebooking, with complaints, with refunds. And I think in the back of our minds, we always have this sort of very vague appreciation of some of these AI algorithms running in the background when it comes to, say, recommendations, right, of flight times and chatbots and all that. But how is Gen AI transforming some of these customer touch points within Philippine Airlines?
That's a good question, Jane. And you're right about the common concerns or complaints we're receiving from passengers, right? Not just for PAL, but the airline industry in general, right? It's a complex process wherein if you need to cancel a flight, you need to make sure that you communicate the updates to the passengers, you give them options, you provide them with, with things that they will need to know so they can manage their booking and continue with their journey. With PAL, it's a journey for us, right? We started in 2023 by launching our CRM, which is in partnership with Salesforce. And right now, we continue to evolve. We have plans this year of implementing or enabling the Einstein Copilot and also the Service Cloud Voice by Q4 this year. And our objective is to make sure that we fully take advantage of the AI functionality of being able to make it easier for our employees to provide a proactive, a personalized, and a frictionless experience for our customers who need assistance in the event of flight disruptions, and not just related to it, but it can be other service-related concerns they have about their booking. We understand that this available technology can help us further elevate the experience we provide our passengers by making it easier for us to actually provide options to them. Yeah.
Right, so as part of this journey to provide more options to your customers, and I think trust and AI which is also a very big part of this theme, the theme at this conference, right? So trust and AI, I think at the earlier panel discussion, you and also other panelists also point to the fact that it's some of the factors are biases, more transparency around some
hallucinations,
of the
toxicity.
Right. Yeah, that's right. So all these sort of new considerations and concerns. What kind of new challenges is it introducing to deploying AI systems compared to, say, old-fashioned or traditional IT systems?
That's a good question, right? With AI, we are aware of those risks. The first thing that you need to do is to ensure that the organization, right, is well aware of the risks involved. So there can be action items that can be implemented as part of mitigating controls. Say, for example, when you talked about hallucination, toxicity, right? You have to categorize the requests, the tasks that AI will have to perform. Is it something that's routinary? Is it simple? If AI makes the wrong recommendation, what would be the implication, right? So if you're able to tolerate that certain level of risk, then you fully automate that. For other tasks that you cannot, we're in the level of risks, if AI does not come up with an accurate recommendation, then you need to ensure that there's a human intervention. Wherein the purpose of AI is to help the person, right, come up with a better decision with the guidance provided by AI. It can make things easier because it's going to provide you with the information that you will need, because it's integrated with several other tools and information that can make the person, decide better on what to do. In terms of the manual validation or evaluation of what to perform, AI will provide that recommendation. But again, even if AI can already provide the recommendation, there's still a risk, right? That it might give you the wrong information. So it's critical that for those high-risk activities and tasks that you still have a live person, right, validating before it goes out to the customer. And in terms of risk, in terms of trust, as long as you have controls in place, right, and as long as you provide the right training to your people on the limitations of AI, they have a good understanding of what it can do, what it cannot do. They have a good understanding how decisions are made. You prepare the people and the structure in order to be ready with how to use AI effectively. You have an ongoing communication, an open communication with the user so you can continue to improve AI. Then you are able to mitigate the risks and fully take advantage of its benefits and able to prevent, potential, negative consequences, as which is, part of the entire implementation, not just specific to AI, but with any technology.
Right. Yeah. So you touch on human in the loop sort of consideration when it comes to implementing AI to ensure that safety concerns are sort of part of the solution. Is there sort of some pitfalls, common pitfalls that you have encountered when you were rolling out the system? Because I think a lot of us tend to overestimate the benefits and overestimate perhaps the ease of implementing AI systems.
Well, that's a very good question, Jane. I think the common pitfall would be not understanding the limitation of AI. Thinking that AI will solve for everything, thinking that AI will do magic for us. Well, it will, but at a certain extent, it has its limitation. And if you are aware of what it can do, what it cannot do, its limitation, then you will appreciate it more. Because if you have the wrong expectations, if you think that it will save everyone's day and just solve all the issues that you have, then that's where the disappointment from the users will come from. So you have to make sure that people have the right understanding how to use it effectively, its limitation, what it can do, what it cannot do. So people can appreciate, right, how to fully take advantage of its functionalities. And its purpose is to complement how they do things, to make it easier for them to do their work and not entirely to replace them,
right,
and the things that they perform, because that's never the intent of AI.
So could you perhaps give our audience an example of a limitation of AI in your AI journey?
Sure. Well, I'll make it relatable, right? When you come up with, when you use your generative AI, wherein you give, instructions, you ask questions, if the quality of question is not meaningful, if it's not insightful enough, then it might give you a vague and generic response. The user needs to come up with the right question, a good instruction, in order for the tool or the generative AI to provide you what you need. And if you the output do not go directly to the passenger, to the customer, you have to further evaluate it. And if you're not happy or satisfied, you think it can be better, then you provide additional instructions, right? So what does it mean? It means that the user needs to receive enough training on how to fully maximize the benefit of AI. And in addition to that, the sources of information should be valuable, should be useful, should have high quality, right? If the sources of information is problematic and it contains a lot of errors and the quality of data is questionable, then you don't expect a good output, right? No matter how good your AI tool is.
Yeah, so it's garbage in, garbage out, right?
Yes,
Yeah, some of us refer to it as that way.
That's right.
So talking about education, you brought up education and training, Can you give us some examples of how Philippine Airlines is training your employees in terms of using this new technology?
Yep, good question, Jane. It's a change management approach, right? So you have to make sure that you follow that concept wherein whenever there's a new tool that you're launching, you got to make sure that people understand what's in it for them, what's the purpose of it, what's in it for the company, for the business. You have to maintain open communication so you can continue to address issues that they may have that can help you improve the the quality of implementation or the functionalities of the tool, and address not just the customer concerns but also the concerns of the users, right? You also need to make sure that you provide them with the right training so they can understand. Like I mentioned earlier, I kept on repeating limitation of the tool, how to use it properly, how to use it effectively. In addition to that, there should be a post-implementation review, right? The implementation should not just stop with just launching it. You have to have an open communication. It's a journey. You have to keep on improving it, and you need to keep on listening to the people. I'll just give one example about the Service Cloud implementation. When we come up with the minimum viable product or the functionalities of the tool, we had to come up with a lot of modifications after that, because we listened to the users, their suggestions, the recommendations, which, as much as possible, we tried to factor in during the initial release, but let's be practical. Not everything can be captured properly, and you need to understand that iterations might be necessary in order for you to continue to meet the needs as well of the users, right? Because ultimately, if you don't listen to their needs, if you don't listen to their feedback, adoption will suffer, right? And you need to maintain that open communication, and they need to see the results so they can keep on believing that this tool is meant to make things better for us, for our passengers, for the business, and it's a partnership that we're establishing with the users instead of us just trying to force them to use the technology.
Yeah, so you touch on it's a continuous evolution, right? It's a continuous journey to get the adoption. It's an ongoing adoption journey, right? So when it comes to, say, for example, like just looking at the trust aspect of AI, right? Is that how we go about evaluating a successful AI implementation? So how do you go about evaluating a success?
You have to, in terms of the evaluation of success, you have to define your metrics, right? AI, the tool, the entire AI initiatives in general. Then you have to measure, of course, operational efficiency. You have to measure, customer experience, can be CSAT, Net Promoter Score, the cost savings, because of course it will result in lower staffing requirements, and you can reskill some of the people to perform other more complex tasks. So those are some of the metrics that you can look at. But in terms of trust, so you continue to evaluate, right? Like I said, until you achieve a certain level, you have to categorize the tasks that you believe are routinary. So routinary would be direct, responses or integration without complex flows, which do not require nuanced understanding of things. Say, for example, if a passenger is asking for compensation, right? It can vary. All the scenarios are unique. It can, you can integrate with all the previous cases handled similarly, and you can refer to it. But each situation is probably unique. It's not a straightforward approach wherein, okay, this happened and we will do that. It's not like that. For situations wherein a careful evaluation is required, right? You need to ensure that you have the right process flow in place wherein a human intervention might be needed. And for the other tasks which are routinary, then you can make it autonomous and accuracy will be high. Risks level will be tolerated and will be minimal and can be mitigated. So when you do it that way, trust can be higher because you're able to properly categorize the tasks and be able to employ the right kind of AI per tasks. So it's not a one-size-fits-all solution. You have your human-assisted, you have your autonomous. It depends on the risk level and the kind of tasks that are needed to be performed. When you do that effectively, then you're able to achieve high accuracy, which can be your, when you do it, can help you achieve the credibility in terms of building that trust in AI.
Yeah, credibility, of course, is a big factor. That's when correct. It comes to building trust. You talk about categorizing flows into different high-risk, low-risk in terms of intervention from the humans, right? I think this is going to be my last question, really. So when it comes to new organizations looking to, say, for example, implementing AI from scratch, right? How would you advise them to say, okay, this business process in general is suitable for AI adoption?
Good question. I would start with listing down all the pain areas. I would the next thing that I'll do is I'll probably quantify how much volume is attributed to each pain area. And then how complex is the task. So those are the three, primary things that I'll check. What are the pain areas? What's the volume associated? And how complex is the task? So I would start with the high volume, less complex, which are common pain areas, which I would say would be repetitive or routinary. Those are the easiest, wherein accuracy will be high.
Low-hanging fruits.
Low-hanging fruits, right? It can give you the biggest benefit because it's affecting a lot of customers. So I'll give you one example. Checking for flight status, right? If you have a great tool in place, people would call just to check, is my flight canceled or still on time? Probably because of the multiple flight disruptions, they don't trust anymore that the flights are on time, departing on time. So they would have to reach out to validate if the flight is still on time or affected by a disruption. So that's high volume. That's very, straightforward. So I would, if you prioritize that, it can reduce your volume by X percentage, which is your most impacting. You're able to provide accurate responses because the flow is pretty straightforward, And then it can also help you appreciate the value of AI. And then you start from there. And then from there, you continue to elevate the capabilities of the AI in your organization. So I would start with the lowest hanging fruit, talking about those three criteria in understanding what could be initial activities that I would use as my use case when implementing AI. Yeah.
Right, okay, yeah. I think that's really insightful. I think when it comes to AI, of course, it's a big buzzword, and many of us would say, right, it seems like a magic, like you say, it's not a magic bullet that can solve all the problems, but for many of us who have played with ChatGPT, we will extrapolate to its potential and think that it's going to solve a lot of problems, but it's very important to, as you say, identify the pain areas and then see how AI can help solve those areas and use it as like a training ground, right? Before we proceed to the more complex cases. Yeah. So thank you, Mark, very much for sharing, Philippine Airlines' journey in adopting AI and some of the lessons that some of our audience can take away with them when they think about AI and how it can potentially help improve their internal organizational processes and optimize maybe some of these cost ratios. So thank you so much, Mark, for your time today.
Thank you as well, Jen, and thank you for inviting me here.
Thank you.